Hello there, welcome. This is Mo, and this is going to be another deeply personal and heartfelt episode of the Sibyl podcast. Today's episode is especially significant. One, you're hearing from me before we start the episode, so you know it's something right. But it also coincides with a very special day. My dad just turned 60th. So as I share my story, I want to just take a moment to honor my parents who have played an essential role in shaping the person I am today. I remember a few years ago when I decided I wanted to start telling my story, especially from my own perspective, knowing that it could be my truth and someone else's truth, and then the truth being somewhere in the middle. There was something my therapist told me. She said, and because I was worried about, I don't want to portray this person as, a bad person, or if I talk about my story, then it's going to reflect. There's no way that somebody else, like people kind of look at your family dynamics or your relationship and go like, But she said, you can always have two truths. Yes, they could have done this, but yet, they're still, family or something along that line of two truths. So this is going to be one of such episodes of two truths. Yes, we did have some housing insecurity growing up. And the other part of that truth would be my parents, tried their hardest. And so even talking about this aspect of my life, if they ever get to listen to this, I never want them to feel like I'm trying to throw all of their efforts down the drain. I do appreciate everything they've done, all the sacrifices they've made in getting me here today. So wanted to just, put that out there. And a special shout out to my friend Olabimpe. There couldn't have been anybody else that I would have felt so comfortable and so safe, exposing this part of my life. And I use the word exposing carefully here, just unraveling this layer of my life. And she's a true friend in every sense of that word. And so thank you, Olabimpe, for doing this together with me. Love you, girl. So this episode is really about overcoming childhood shame, especially for people who grew up the way I did, and also in building resilience in the face of adversity. It's about self-discovery, of finding strength in the most unexpected places. But once again, before we dive into the story, I want to express my gratitude to my parents for their unwavering love and support throughout my life, their guidance, their encouragement, and belief in me. Those have been my pillars of strength, and I'm forever grateful for the values they instilled in me. Sharing this deeply personal tale wasn't an easy decision. I really wanted to honor my parents while still being authentic and vulnerable with you, my listeners. So it's not always easy to open up about the struggles we face, but I believe that our stories can resonate with others and inspire them to find their own path to healing. I never want to stop being relatable. I know I'm not where I used to be. Heck, I'm far away, literally far away from where I grew up. But, I hope as you listen to the story, you will join me in reflecting on your own journey. My hope is that by sharing the story, you can find strength in vulnerability and compassion and understanding. That's it. Happy birthday, Dad. And enjoy the episode, everyone. Thank you. I was saying that this is like the aspect of my life I feel like most people don't know about. And I was thinking about it. Why is not like you should expose yourself, but I think there's a part of me that's kind of like ashamed about it. You know what I mean? But I'm like, what's the shame in it, right? Our parents did the best they could. You know what I mean? So, have you ever considered just maybe some hesitancy from your end, talking about this topic? Do you have some shame about it?
Yeah, so I did. I don't anymore.
How long ago did your shame stop?
At what point? What point did I? I think. I don't know. I think it was when I dated my second serious relationship.
And you told them about it?
With Bimbola. So I could bring Bimbola home at the time, and I think that kind of sort of did it for me. And especially since moving to the US, I just figured, it's just a part of my story. So moving to the US, I think just find it was the final liberation for me. I'm like, hasta la visa, done with that life, y'all. So I don't. I can talk about it. It's just, some parts of that information is going to be TMI, maybe not those parts.
Of course. It's just so much. It's not so much kind of...
Yeah.
It's a lot. Without my therapist on the side, you know what I mean?
It's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to dive into. But it's I believe it's a solid
conversation to learn.
Solid conversation to have. Yeah. Why? Because I feel that it's going to encourage anyone who is probably in that situation to know that there's a light ahead. Ahead of it is
a that's exactly why I wanted to talk about this. Yeah. Because I feel like it's that life.
Yeah, there's a light ahead. I
haven't explored, especially because considering that we're not where we used to be, and I don't say that to kind of shame anybody who might be in that current situation. There was no way I could have thought that in a million years I'll be where I am today.
That this is going to be your life. Yeah, this is going to be... Right. I never thought that this is going to... I knew I was destined for greatness. That's what I've always known. And I'm not even scratched the surface, right? But I just... Yeah, I thank God for his work in our lives. And so he's brought us this far. And it's just to show that, that scripture that says that when the Lord turns around the captivity of Zion, you're like that dreamed. Yeah, it was just like that. Or so we don't have to talk about this entirely. We can merge it into, so what was your first experience like when you first moved to the US? So it can be a joint convo. I don't know if you want to merge it. Yeah.
Okay. We can do that. So but I think by now we've probably lost half of our audience. Let me just introduce you for those who haven't gotten the pleasure of knowing who this person is. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. This is Mo, and I'm the host of the show. And today I have my friend back. She's one of the most requested guests on the show. And this is Olabimpe Shode. And today, she's based in Minnesota and my very good friend. Today we're talking about just an aspect of our childhood that I think really bonds us. So I've mentioned that I've known Bimpe for almost half of my life. Think about it, Bimpe. Ooh.
You were 16, I was 19.
My goodness, yes. More than half of my life, And I know, but at least, like the first time meeting, right? Yeah. And because she moved to the US way before I did. Anyways, so we used to be part of a choir and we're supposed to go for a youth camp. Shout out to Solid. But I got into school and I couldn't go. I got into school and I couldn't make the camp, and it was so painful for me because we had been rehearsing and I was looking forward to going to that camp. And then I think this was when phones were not still like we weren't well connected. And I remember Bimpe was asking me way before this news came that where do I live? I didn't even mention their street address. I just gave her a very vague description. But this girl used her Sherlock Holmes. She found me, guys. She found me. And not only did she find me, I was home when she found me. When the day he came to my house, I felt like the girl just swallowed me. Do you remember? Do you remember?
But you see, you felt that way. I remember coming to your house. I remember coming to your house. How did I find it? I can't. For the life of me, I can't remember. But I know I remember coming to your house.
Half of it, she will figure the rest out. And she's always been like that. Because I'm always very vague when I tell people where I live. And I'll explain why. For those who don't know, I'll explain why. But people found me out. Like, oh my goodness.
So, but you see, for me, I felt like, so I can be real with this person because I felt like, the housing situation was, similar. So I didn't feel like, okay, now I can't talk about where I live, obviously, because, oh my God, they live in this kind of housing or, you know what I mean? So I felt at home.
Yeah.
I remember that feeling. Now, what we talked about, what we did, I don't remember. But I don't remember.
But I remember that I was just uncomfortable throughout because I'm like, I wasn't uncomfortable about you. I was just that have been hard. But you know what? It would have helped if you had told me right away. But I guess you probably didn't have the language for it.
No.
Because I didn't know about your own situation until
right.
I'm like, it makes sense, you know?
Yeah. So, because I just remembered that. Because I have always had the shame around, I couldn't bring people home to where I lived. So, like, even the what's it called? Like even from when my friends would say, "Oh, let me drop you off," I said, "No, it's okay. Just drop me like 3 streets away, okay? 3 streets away."
But wait. I mean, I've always felt comfortable around you, and I think that's why. But even though I didn't know why exactly I was comfortable around you, it was just the way you made me feel like, oh, it wasn't a big deal. Like, so what? And all along, I was just like, oh my God, am I gonna be? It wasn't like I was trying to hide anything, but it was just a lot of shame. So for those who don't know, we grew up in drum roll, everybody.
Face me, I slap you.
Oh, sorry. Face me, I slap you. It's even worse. It's like a downgrade. Oh, big
So face me, I slap you, y'all.
These are like usually overcrowded spaces. The buildings.
Well, it depends. So the face me I slap you that we both grew up in is not a typical face me I slap you. Well, you never came to my house, but I was in your house. I can tell you, it's not the typical.
Okay, tell me what's not typical about it?
It wasn't a compound like compound. It wasn't
a compound. No, it was just it was rooms. Yes. I know
it wasn't like a proper face me I slap you. It's
Oh yeah,
it's a lot of people.
There's no boundaries.
There's more people. Yeah,
there's no privacy.
We didn't have much privacy either, but it was still limited because the number of people who lived on our floor were just three. I was going to say apartments, 3 rooms. So it wasn't we didn't have to contend with a lot of people. It was just the 3 people, 3 families. That had the room and parlor.
And parlor, yes.
So it was a room and parlor situation, and thankfully. Where do I start from?
Man, it was so stressful, Binke.
It was
really so stressful.
Growing up was so stressful. Let me tell you, girl. I was head girl of my school at the time.
Oh, Methodist, right? Oh, Badelaja.
No, Methodist Girls High School.
Okay.
And at the time there was no phone to call in to say I'm sick. This is why I couldn't come to school. I think I was in school. I was away from school for like a week or so. I was very sick, and so the principal at the time, Mrs. Labode, then sent our economics teacher to my house,
and they had your house address on the file.
And unfortunately for me and for him. It was a rainy day. So, of course, one drop of rain. Again, nice house, only if the Yaya children had maintained the house. The house, so it was 3 levels. It originally was built as those old
colonial
flats, old flats where the rooms are not. You don't have the way it's built now, where everything is in one space.
Yeah.
So you have a door leading to all the rooms, like a door, an external door that leads to so you see the 3 rooms. So the middle one is typically the living area, and then the other are the bedrooms. And then you have the toilets and the bathroom, and then you have the kitchen. So it is the way the house is built, or
like a studio apartment in a way, but in a different kind of format.
No. It actually was a flat.
Oh,
but they built the olden day flat. So that was a format. So I just saw this Mr. BCDU. I will never forget it. I was shocked. And then the rain had fallen, and then it was flooded. It was oh my God. I was super embarrassed. So it was, I was like, well, you showed up. I didn't invite you.
It is what it is.
So I think for me, so what the feedback I always get is when people see, or the ones I had the opportunity to visit me at home, and they saw where I live, they couldn't reconcile who I was outside with my house. Because again, growing up, what my mom always told us is that you are not where you live. So you are not going to act it. So, matter of fact, in the house, they thought we were aloof. And it wasn't that we're proud or but it was just that my mom wanted us to be different. She knew what she had a vision. She just didn't have the money to execute it. And so growing up, that's what I heard. And primary school, school head, secondary school, school head. So it's so I didn't, it didn't limit, and I spoke well. I've always spoken well. So people could not reconcile. I mean, when my boyfriend came to my house, Bimbola, when he came to the house at the time, he said if I had told him that I lived in VGC, that he would have believed me. Yeah.
No, because you're not that you're trying to form more. It's just
I wasn't, because guess what? It should be the action that you wear, the clothes that you wear that will give you away. I grew up learning to be content. So for me, it wasn't that I just didn't want people to, because I knew how I was outside my home. I knew the impression people had of me. I just didn't want. I didn't want the house to fall my hand.
Yes, I know what you mean. I know.
It's something I had no control over. I mean, I had control over how I spoke, how I dressed. I made sure I was clean. I presented myself well in public. I was well behaved. Those were things that were within my control. But my housing, it was entirely out of my control. And I was like, you will not.
It is what it is. It is what it is. I just sent you a picture now on your WhatsApp. I stopped calling it WhatsApp before this thing becomes like, on your WhatsApp.
That's what you said. I was like, just become reality now.
So that's where I grew up. That's actually the current state of the place.
Oh,
and,
wow.
I know the way houses in Lagos are. You see a posh house, and then there's like a not so posh house.
It's
like there's no proper zoning.
No proper zoning. I believe for Lagos, for the mainland. Because in Tenement was like that too. You see this mansion beside this Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but I know that for those who are not very familiar with just what we're talking about, the terms we're using. So for I don't want to call it the hood. But
because
that's like a closed. No, it wasn't the hood, but it's a closed, almost like Section 8 housing, or for those that live in the UK, like those districts, what do they call them? Council homes, right? I don't even know. Maybe there's not like a proper way of describing it.
Because it was a mixture of rich and poor.
It was a mixture of rich and poor.
Yeah.
And because of just how rent can be quite cheap, there's like almost like a revolving door of people going in and out. And in my own space, when they first started it, because I saw pictures when my mom because she moved in there when she was pregnant for me. It was not quite as bad as it was when I was of age. But because of overcrowding and people like squatting, so in a room, you can have up to like 10 people in a room, right? And that pool burden on the restroom situation.
On the resources, yes.
And I think this is why I still have some trauma when it comes to like cleaning and, dirt around my area. I think it stems from my childhood because there's so much that was out of my control.
That was out of your control.
Just so much out of my control. And it's just my way of seizing control. But let's talk about school. So like you, I was a superstar in school, right? I mean, and I went to, let's just thank God for our parents that even if they, whatever, because they could have just done that thing, parents tend to do sometimes, kind of to save face, just put the money towards something so that way they can look, posh in public, and then something suffers. My parents didn't hold anything back when it came to education. But the resultant, and I've said that before many times, we had housing insecurity. This is what I meant by the housing insecurity. It wasn't ideal. It wasn't really ideal. So I'll go to school, and my school was one of the best ones in that area. Like it was an international school. We had kids who went to the US for summer breaks, in my school. And by then I had not even left Lagos, and but I live vicariously through them. I remember one of my seatmates, shout out to Ikenna. Ikenna, came from a very rich home, and he would come back. We come to school with like books and snacks. It was the first time I saw a Ziploc bag that had like cake in it. And because I was super smart, I would just trade, like, give me your books and I'll do your assignments for you. So sorry to my principal who might be listening to this. Yes, I was, trading books for like, and I love it. But I just always used to wonder, like, sometimes I'll follow my friends to their houses. How after school, now primary school, you're walking around and if you want to stop at my house, I could never invite anybody home. I could never invite anybody home. And I know kids can be quite brutal. Oh my gosh, they just
kids can be cruel.
They say they sense that vulnerability, they're just going to open it wide. And I kept that for a while, even through high school. And then university, luckily for me, like second year in university, my parents finally, built a house and they moved, and, our situation kind of changed. But all that to say, I don't know why I harbored so much shame about it. And I dare say I still have some residual shame about it. And I don't know. I think this is what I want to explore on the podcast today as a way to support people and that might be going through this. And I know sometimes when you've left where you are, you seem to be unrelatable, but I never want to stop being relatable because I came from somewhere. So I don't know what your thoughts were, Olabimpe.
So for me, I'd always say your past does not define you. It's what you do with it. I'm curious to know why you still feel shame though, because Tolani, you've done, and that's the Tolani. What? I feel like you need to live in the moment. And that's what that's just that's my thoughts on that. You need to live in the moment.
Tell me more.
Yeah, you need to live in the moment because you. I'm gonna blow your trumpet right here.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, Sarah has achieved a lot for a time in the US. How long have you been here for?
Honey, just like 11 years.
Just right, about 11 years, right? But even before now, in the short while that you came to the US, you've achieved a lot. Things that it would have taken people 30 years to achieve. You've done that in the short time that you've been here in the US.
Thank God.
So I'm very curious to understand why you still carry that, because that was entirely out of your control. I think that's for me. That's what I always fall back to. It was out of my control. If something is not within my control, I don't stress too hard about it. I think that's if you can use that. I don't know. I'm not your therapist, but
I think that actually this is like a therapy moment here. The only person I'm meeting is Ayomide. So I think there could be two things. You know how sometimes when you want to tell a story, but you realize that it's not just your story. Because the more I talk about it, the more like I'm putting my parents in the spot, like, oh, they didn't do well. And I never wanted to be that. We can have two truths. Our housing situation was bad. Our parents did the best they could do. And that's just, the plain thing about it.
But they're not mutually exclusive, though.
They're not, right? I know. But I think that even coming to talk about it here, I think this is like the final step for me to kind of finally, like
push past it.
It's not a big deal. Like it was just what it was. And for those that might be listening to this, this is why I also wanted to bring Bimpe, because she grew up like that as well. We can share some protective factors. Like what really saved me was books and just facing my studies.
Yep.
Seriously.
Same here.
Because man, I had neighbors who got teenage pregnancy, like into drugs, like. Think about the stereotype of just living in the hood. I saw that firsthand. Domestic violence. I saw that firsthand.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just name all of the tropes of horrible relationships. I saw that as a child, and I think I learned quickly how to adjust myself accordingly. Like this is an opportunity for me to learn from people who I'm seeing their lives unravel in front of me. I knew someone who contracted a viral disease, as a teenage person while living, around my neighborhood. And it was a common knowledge, those kind of issues. And now one got pregnant. I'm not trying to like call them out and make them feel
we're not shaming anyone.
We're not shaming.
Look, it was the situation and it's your story. It's your story. Unfortunately, so, and that's the thing about telling your story is that some people are going to come across as bad. They were bad. Let's just call it what it was. If that's the role that they played the role, and it's your story to tell. It happened to you. It's not like you're fabricating these things, So if you were fabricating, then it's different. But it's your story. You were in that story. It unfolded, right there with you in it. No, it's your story to tell too as well. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, I'm not your therapist, so.
No, but I guess we've escaped from that situation, right?
We have, thank God.
What would you say? Because I've kind of hinted at some things that worked for me. Looking back now, it wasn't as if it was intentional. I think for me, reading and studying hard was my way of escape. Because, man, there was just so much happening at home. for you, what was your protective factors? Like what if you look back now, like, and try to like map what really helped you to kind of escape that in every sense of that word, what would you say was your saving grace apart from Jesus? We know.
Yeah, so for me it was my mother. She puts she just had standards. I didn't like my mom growing up because of those standards, because of those expectations that she had of us. Single parent, and so it was she had to be firm. So my mom she was my check. And of course, and funny enough, I grew up to be quite independent too. So I'm not sure how my mom was able to strike. I don't know. That woman she needs to write a book, So she did a fantastic job doing it. And I'm sure maybe to her, she probably thought she didn't do enough, but she did, because she was able to, and my mom read a lot. So I would read some of the books, in the house. So it's my mom. I would say it was my mom. She provided, she had a vision. She knew she didn't have all of these resources to help execute, but she knew that we shouldn't be limited just because we don't have resources now. So, knowing, again, she introduced me to Christ early. So so I would say my mom. Yeah.
That's quite good. I mean, my parents too did a fantastic job, I would say, because getting us books, my mom, and I think even introducing us to like role models, like how they say it takes a village.
Yeah.
The company my parents kept were people that were substance and all, and caliber. So. It was almost like it was an odd situation. Like the housing situation.
It was like, hey!
It was like, what?
It was like
doesn't belong here. Like, and I'm sure my mom, and I imagine your mom too feels this way. Like when they think about us and how far we've come, I'm sure they just give thanks to God, because it could have gone the other way. It could have gone the other way.
It could have gone the other way. Because even with all the principles and all the expectations and all the firmness, it could have gone. Because I also was determined. Was determined not to leave out my circumstance. I didn't want to just be a stereotype, like fall into that stereotype. Am I saying that correctly? Fall into that stereotype. And for me, or something. Into that statistics. Thank God for God, because literally that saved my life. I went to church, I went to school, I came home. We had a lesson teacher that would come to the house, after school. And basically, you didn't have time for anything else, except, and of course, I bonded with my brothers. So we were together a lot. Growing up, we were together a lot because we had lessons together. We did things together, went to church together. And then distance from our house to the church, maybe about 40 minutes of walking. And it didn't even matter. She said, "No, can I even walk 40 minutes?" I think I can. But I'm just like, it was, So it was my family. I guess God, Jesus saved me. It did. Because, I don't know. And then, of course, I was also able to then see. So I went to Rama Chapel. And I saw how other people lived. And so, again, my mom transferred the vision and I caught it. Early. And I just saw how people lived and I said, okay. Matter of fact, I went to, this finishing school. It was not a girl I did. Because I didn't know where I was. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I knew I was, this is not where I'm going to be, right? And so in my house, we don't use fork and knife. So what's the move for Kidani? I mean, you just a fork and then your spoon. If you're eating rice, you use spoon. So but then when I realized that other people they ate rice with fork, and then they would cut their meat. So the lady in my church, she was kind enough. God surrounded me with kind people. So, and then because they saw that I was also very willing to learn, and I did. I went to share for the life of me, I can't remember that. It's a popular place in Lagos now.
My goodness, you went to
I had to go and learn how to use fork and knife to just know how to eat proper, at a table setting. Yeah, because I knew I definitely was cut out for more. So but I just didn't know how it was going to unfold, and I'm not there yet. Thank God for where we are, but we are still pushing. We're pushing. But so primarily for me, I was surrounded by wonderful, I mean, of course, there were enemy of progress too, but enemy of Pajotana.
Enemy. But
in my case, I focused more on the people who pushed me, who helped me. And Rema Chapel provided resources for me in terms of people. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Rema Chapel Yaba, to be specific.
Yeah. Just thinking somebody was unclear about that. So maybe for those who might be listening to this, right? Because again, at the end of the day, it boils down to lessons and what we want to pass along. Like if you could speak to somebody who might be in that situation, thinking, how did you even get from there to where you are right now? Because you too, my friend, you've done a lot. Like you've achieved quite a lot. You keep just defying the odds, and I think that's just the beautiful thing about our stories, like the way we defy the odds. For those, of course, for those who might be listening and thinking that, oh, this is impossible, what kind of words would you like to tell them?
Hang in there, and don't be too hasty. Everything unfolds with time, and it unfolds beautifully in its time. Your relationship with God, I think people have turned into this trade and butter? But yeah, like it's not like a give and take. I just love God, and that's what I did. I loved God wholeheartedly. I served wholeheartedly. God does not owe anyone. He will not owe. He says is a real rewarder, and he does reward. Yeah. So, and that's for me because I mean, other than housing situation, there were other, concerns too that was going on in my life at the time that made me question everything. But God was the anchor of my life. And, I just held onto that relationship and I served. I really did. Help as many people as you can and do not expect anything back. Just do it wholeheartedly. Whatever you find yourself doing, whatever you find that your hands are, if you can sing with the whole of your heart. If you can, whatever it is that you're doing, just do it with the whole of your heart. So serve God, help people. And because you never know. You never know. Your blessing is in the hand of a custodian. And if you mess up that relationship, that's it. And of course, God redeems time for us. Thank God for second chances. But just be mindful of relationships. Be mindful of how you treat people, whether rich or poor. I think people tend to want to treat people. They tend to want to treat people who have money better. So someone who is less, quote unquote less, or even whether it's in reality is less, then you treat them shabbily. No, honor everyone. Everyone is, what would Jesus do in this situation? Yeah, think about it. And that's what I did. And everything I'm saying, these are the things that I did. I didn't even realize were principles that, that helped. But that's what I did. And that's what I would say to anyone in that situation. Do your best. And always, don't be limited by your situation. Do the best you can, and always be hungry to learn. Whatever opportunity they present, be hungry to learn. Sometimes you may have to lower, quote unquote, lower yourself, or not debase yourself, but just be humble to learn. Because sometimes the help that you need or the resource that you need is from someone that is badly behaved. And you just have to learn how to handle that and just move past that bad behavior and learn what you need to learn from that person. So sorry.
No. Why are you apologizing? No.
That's my case. I have more to say, but I just wanted to, just be me talking. Yeah. So.
No, what I was going to add was, don't trade momentary pleasures for something more permanent, right? Chances are, because I observed a lot, and I think that environment gave me my first canvas at life, like just looking at human behavior and how to respond, to stimuli around me. And one thing you quickly find, when people make money, especially hastily, they spend it on very,
stupid things,
designer wears, just to kind of feel among. So don't, because of that, lose your values and start getting money in a very hasty way. Because I imagine that living in Nigeria right now, especially for a young, there's so much pressure to kind of conform to so many things. So don't let go of your future glory for momentary gains. That's one. And number 2, like Bimpe said, apply yourself. Like, apply yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Read books.
Yes.
Church also was a sanctuary for me. You know, church was a sanctuary for me. Boarding house was a sanctuary for me. Normal friends, normal people with normal house. When I say normal housing situations, like just more stability were a sanctuary for me. And remember that nothing is permanent.
Yes.
I kid you. It's whatever you're right now. It seems like it's overwhelming. It seems like it's the end of the world. But trust us when we say, by the time you even live there, you will not even remember so many things. I've forgotten so many things.
So many.
You'll be surprised. Yeah. So hang in there is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But it does have some lasting, like some scar. It leaves a scar, I think. Because living in the Butemeta, so growing up in the Butemeta was really nice. It was cool.
Yeah.
Everyone was
Colonial
calm.
area.
Knew our neighbors. Yeah. But after a while, these area boys, they took over because of a stupid
family. The fought.
It was the chairman at the time encouraged it, and so that's how area boys they've taken over Butemeta. I don't know what the situation is now, but at the time the area boys, after what they took over, I think this was around the time just as I was getting ready to transition out of Butemeta. That was when violence was now the order of the day. It could just happen in a split second.
Anyway,
and then they're carrying cutlasses around, they are breaking bottles, stabbing themselves. And if you God forbid that you get caught in the middle of that, and then you're gonna some people have died. Some people died just because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time or the right place at the wrong time. And so for me, that's one of the effects that I have a thing. I'm easily startled. I am super aware of my environment. So that's why for me, I don't care how much I will pay extra to live in a nice neighborhood. Because I don't look.
It explains why you're in a bunch of white people.
Girl, I am not about that life where I'm coming up.
Went straight to the suburbs.
Yes, girl.
I'm out here. I'm gonna smell you later.
I'm not about that life. I want to come home at 1 o'clock in the morning and be fine. The only thing that I'm afraid of when it is we have coyotes and some of these wild animals, but that's just it. It's not a human being lurking around.
You have to be full of animals.
Yeah, so it's it does leave because I know that's one of the residual effects of living in the Butemeta. Because I just violence, I can't.
And we can't like say it's a bad thing, but I bet that sixth sense has saved you in so many ways.
I'm sure. Girl, let me tell you this story.
You probably have developed the time of the Butemeta. But go ahead, share it with us.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm taking over your podcast today.
You're my guest. Go ahead, go for it. Tell us the story.
Let me tell you this story. That's how one day, I
already laughing. But sorry, go ahead.
I was in Baltimore. I lived in Baltimore at the time. And so myself and Boale, one of my friends in Baltimore, then again, I attended Jesus House Baltimore at the time. And my friend Boale, we call her Super Bowl. That's how after rehearsal, we went to this strip mall, Leo. And then we were there talking. My car was right beside me. I don't know
strip mall. It's just like a place where they love stores, not like a strip.
But it's not that kind of.
Yeah, no, like it's just many stores.
Went to the mall. Yeah. And then we're outside, we're talking, and just I'm not even sure for the life of what we're talking about. But it was a serious conversation because we're by ourselves, and everywhere was dark. But again, this is America. If you live in a nice neighborhood, this is America. Anyway. So if you live in a nice neighborhood, So if you live in a nice neighborhood, you won't care too much. But this neighborhood was not exactly nice. It was nice, but not. You don't want to be there too late at night, and that was where we were because again, we've been there a few times, and we're talking and I see Boale's eyes moving. I saw her eyes dart to the side, and I saw her. She quickly brought her eyes back to me. She just looked, and I kind of registered that look again. That's the whole sixth senses, right? Yeah. And so I looked at her. She did it again the second time. With alacrity. I looked back. I saw 3 boys walking to Bola was going to stand here and just keep talking. Are you mad? I jumped in my car. When Bola was sitting there, like, why is she running?
You can tell the Ajabo from the Ajabo girl.
I did not want to find out. When they were 3 boys walking in the dark towards 2 girls standing. They didn't have good intentions. Are you kidding me? Girl, I got in my car fast. I said, Boile, you're going to stand here and keep... It's me that you want to put in trouble here. That's how I got in my car. I sped off, but they were still trying to figure out. So we drove and went to our house. I was like, what were you thinking? You really were just going to wait until those boys got to us?
I'm going to ask you what you're doing. What are you doing here? Do you need help?
I know!
Well, there you have it. Imagine without a Tenement, you'll have been 2 boys standing there.
And then they will not say, some people were molested, I mean, they were murdered.
Two black girls.
God forbid bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll never...
Yeah, but that was quite funny. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. I think for me, it's just clean spaces. You know,
you do have spaces. That. And it's quite annoying.
It is annoying. It's frustrating for me because I know, and I think it comes from that place because we didn't even get into the toilet situation.
Yeah,
and just because no matter how you want to keep the space clean,
others were using and they were careless. Yeah.
They're careless and man, even
I know what you mean, girl.
Girl, like and the smell and
I know.
And I just wanted to always go around and just clean everybody's spaces, but I couldn't do it. Yeah, so for me, it's just cleaning. I think that's what the resultant effect of it. I want to keep a clean space, and sometimes I think it's a matter of also being a control freak about things. Again, it's just what it is. It's the same side of this. Is a different side of the same trait.
Yeah. So I mean, whatever our weaknesses are, our fears tends to lean into that.
Yes.
I have a thing for. I think I can be fearful sometimes.
And so, like cautious, you mean?
Yeah, I'm cautious. Yeah, I can be cautious. You know, not when it comes to harnessing opportunities, but it's just I can be. So of course, match that with growing up in a place that was very volatile. I couldn't determine when and where. So
you're risk averse.
Yeah, I was just quite heightened. So it's just beginning to calm down now because these days I feel like slowly getting.
Some might call it PTSD, but whatever. But maybe it's what's keeping us alive. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
But those were the days, y'all. When you be cooking, you have to stand there to make sure that nobody goes and
make sure nobody touches your food. Yeah, your food in the food. And
I will steal your entire pot.
Paranoia.
Yeah, all of these things. I know.
It was like living in an African magic setting. And man, I don't know how my parents did. They really protected me because I still find myself being naive about some things. But I know that some people that I grew up with, there was a way they just operated. Like they were always paranoid about things. They wouldn't leave their cup or because you never know who could. And it's just
it's and so and then. That scripture that says that what's that? I can't remember. That he carries the young. God, we were cocooned, like we were I feel that, and I know it's very dependent on the parents that
he carries the lamb in his arms. Isn't that one?
Yeah, I think that's how that scripture goes.
Yeah.
So,
and I have young hearts. Yeah, I think it's Isaiah. So
he shall feed. I think that's the song that came to mind. So I was trying to remember.
Gently lose those that have young. Like you will gently lead the mother.
Yeah. So he does. And then your back people will say that Agboti Oniru, that all of my relationship.
Exactly. The tailless cow. There's a way.
I've never. It's God that chases the flies. Well. Literal translation. So I feel that we should be super grateful for the parents that we had.
Yes.
The ones, I feel that they are a major factor in the fact that some things we're still, that naivety that we still have, that, curiosity.
The innocence, the innocence. Innocence it was against everything. That was the hardest part of it.
Yeah.
Because everything around you was but innocent. Because I don't know if and there's usually some typical profiles or people who, your neighbors, you have the pedophile, the groping hands uncle, the cultist, the smoker, the domestic violent person. I mean, my goodness, like you grow up around that, but then there's this installation you have even within the midst of that chaos. Man, that is the work.
And that literally diamond in the rough.
That is the work. I mean, as a parent now, I still feel like, on some days I'm so overwhelmed. What am I overwhelmed about? I have, I'm in a very much stable time. But imagine being a parent in those kind of situations.
I know. And they did the best they could with what they had. They did the best they could. Yeah. They did. So my mom, Angelina, shout out to you.
Shout out to them. Maybe we should encourage moms, because we talked about those that might be in institutions. How about moms who are listening to this and they feel, because I imagine that our parents probably harbored some form of guilt as well.
And that one I can tell you, for sure.
We haven't explored their story, right?
Yeah.
So I think for me is just, and again, it's not applicable to everybody, because when myself and Olabimpe, when we have conversations and we just go off tangent, when we talk about our faith, it's just we because we're comfortable talking about our faith, but we know not everybody listening to this podcast is of any faith. So please do not take it like we're trying to shove anything down your throats. But perhaps eventually you're a Christian, I think just laying hands on your kids and declaring on the future. Like my mom will make us say prayers about our future and calling everything, like prophesying, like almost like declaring what you want to be in the future, like the things you want to do. And I think those are the seeds I'm reaping now.
Absolutely.
So pray for your kids, and encouraging them will be one thing you can do, because again, it can happen to anybody. You know, it's just what it was then. It was just what it was. Sorry for interrupting you, but I have a major announcement. Our podcast, the most Sibyl podcast, has just been nominated by ABVA, which is the Association of African Podcasters and Voice Artists, as the Diasporan Podcast of the Year. This is amazing. This is where we need your help to vote. Winning the Diasporan Podcast of the Year carries immense importance to me. It will be a notable recognition of just our excellence in podcasting within the diaspora community. And it also serves as a milestone, a major milestone, validating all of the work, the dedication, the talent, the time invested in producing the podcast. By winning, we also would attract increased visibility and credibility towards the podcast, which will also help in expanding our reach and creating opportunities for further growth and exploration. On a personal level, I'll be very thrilled to just keep on going. So we ask you to please consider voting for the podcast. It's super easy to do. I'm going to tag all of the link on the show notes. Voting is live right now. It closes on the 30th of July, which is just a few days from now. So you go to awards.abva.africa/vote now. And in 3 easy steps, you scroll down to our category, which is the Diasporan Podcast of the Year. You choose our podcast, the Most Sibyl Podcast, and you include your email address and click vote. Again, I'll put all of this link on the show notes. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your episode.
Your situation could just change in the twinkling of an eye. First you have a booming business, then some misfortune happens, and now you're back to zero. So because that was kind of like my mom's story, and things were fine and all of that, and suddenly it just took make one decision, and then everything just goes awry. And what do? You keep moving, you keep living. That's the resilience that my mom had. I learned that from my mom, to forgive quickly and move on quickly. I learned that from my mom. And I think that any parent who is listening right now, we just want to encourage you to say you're doing great. You're doing great. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and just do the best you can. Don't be limited by your circumstance. You may be limited by resources, but you can dream. Encourage your kids to read. There are books that they can live through. They can live vicariously through. Don't be limited. Once you're limited in your mind, even if you have the resources, you'll still be limited. So
Yeah. I mean, these are like really, really good words. And I mean, to be nice to actually have you. I was just thinking about it, like, because I remember when I had a conversation with my mom, and it was just barely scratching the surface because they don't like to talk about things.
They don't. I don't know why.
I don't know why. But guess what? We're gonna be like that. Maybe not. Because
I'm living a memoir. You're gonna know my story. Hold on.
Maybe this is a part of your life that I may not want to talk about. But I'm beginning to realize that I'm my mother's daughter. Every time I talk to Arife, like, so I want to just come out in Yoruba. Really, to show bikini. I'll just, make like a joke in Yoruba, and I'm like, where did that come from? Like, I've never used these words, in my life before.
Yeah.
It would be nice to actually have your mom to come share her story. I don't know if she'll be open to it.
I doubt it.
Because, man,
the stories that my mother could tell, but it's
because I remember when I would go to your house, like your mom, I want to just imagine how different her life would have been if her experiences were a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because there's so much wisdom, and there's a way she's a very good storyteller, and I think you get that from her.
She is. Thank you.
Very perceptive. Very perceptive. I just remember those times in Baltimore.
Yeah.
She would
my mom.
Yeah.
She's a good storyteller. I wish I could. There has to be a way to get those stories from her. It's just there's some things that I'm sure that she's not proud of, and I think. The whole thing about forgiving yourself. So there was a time I think it was just around the time that she just came to the US. We started to live together again. That I'm not sure what we're talking about, and it was an impromptu
conversation
where we just got talking. And just like I started encouraging her to say, "Mommy, I forgive her." And I was saying, I was crying. I remember that conversation. But I don't know what led to it. But
it was the Holy Spirit. It was the Holy Spirit.
It's just, because a lot of the times they look back and they see the regrets more than the good.
Things. But is how life is, the negative bias, right? You can have 10 things happen to you. Maybe one of them is bad. That's one bad thing.
That's what you focus on. Yeah.
It's called the negative bias.
Yeah. I love her to life. And my mom's story is amazing. Why? I'm super proud of my mom. You know how, they say that, this Yoruba saying that, sometimes you may struggle at the beginning of your life, but it's better is the end of a thing than the beginning of your life. That's what the Bible says.
Exactly, the Bible, not the Yoruba.
Yeah. And Yoruba people will say that. I can't.
Something about it. Yeah. Look at you, girl. You have to. You never remember it. So I'm always giving people speak to that about the right one, and I always choose her about that because I'm so jealous. So go ahead. But when she stumbles, I'm always very happy to capitalize on her stumble.
Yeah. So my mom is that's from grass to grace story, and just our ending and being better than our beginning. Started it started rough because again she lost her mom at a very young age. Her father was a seaman. He was barely home. Got married quite too early. She was 16 or how old was she? Started having kids early. I guess that turned out good because she has grown grandkids. In hindsight, but anyway, that happened to her, and then. One bad decision after another when it comes to relationship, and then she decided to give her life to Christ. I'm not sure how. I need to hear that story again, and then that changed the trajectory of her life Yeah, and then things got again. I benefited from that because she gave her life to Christ.
Look at her legacy. Mm-hmm. Jesus made the difference, right?
Yeah, Jesus really did. It was like night and day. And then, and now she's where she is. She's the things she could not do when she was younger. She's doing them in her old age. Every day I think about it, I'm just eternally grateful to God that, she can rest well. I tell you, you're not dying, not anytime soon.
No.
I see her, and she's a testament to the stone that the builders they forgot. It's become the chief cornerstone. That's my mom's story. And so, just be encouraged.
You know what? I think slowly just encourage her and maybe try recording it. But I mean, we have to seek our content. Because again, one thing I'm also trying to do is to find a way to kind of archive voices of people who are, you know, like last year now, or was it 2 years ago, my friend came on the podcast and her father passed away. She came with her father. We actually did a daddy-daughter recording, and her father passed away shortly after then.
Mojirade?
And no Mojirade. I'm Fumia Jao.
Oh, okay.
It was like a Father's Day thingy, and we talked about the wisdom from the aged, and it was just nice to see the daughter, that daughter dynamic. And he passed away not long ago. Wow. And she texted me like a while back and said, "Thank you for this, because it means a lot that I have his voice." If you think about it, we don't like keep voicemails, we don't keep like recordings, and some people are still, they'll give anything to be able to hear what their parents sound like. It's in your head, you know how it sounds like, but able to replicate it and just at the press of a button. So that's just my suggestion. Maybe there's a way, but of course you have to let her know that you're recording.
I don't think she will mind. It will just be the kind of story that I want her to talk about. Yeah,
it took a while for my mother to be able to, because as you know, I was born out of wedlock, and I say that I said I don't care. I don't care how I got here. I'm here ready to do it. Right? It took a while for her to come up with. Oh my goodness! But the shame was always there. Yeah, I mean, my mom has. I mean, she's walked through that. But growing up, I almost like I knew something was off. I knew something was off, But
her case is different. I think it's just this burden that we carry. That's so unnecessary. Because she got married to the dude. The dude married her.
Right? But then, remember that there were so many things, like she had to leave her home, and and for someone that, my mom is so very introverted, a lot of her thinking is internally done. If it's someone like me, I'll probably just voice that, I'm so stressed. And maybe talking about it would have been helpful for me, but again, she didn't talk about so many things. Plus, she became a mom, so quickly, and having to go back to school to like prove that, okay, I'm not a forgotten story. I mean, those are, for me, and I think even for your mom as well, those are stories that I think will like highlight, like even despite the bad aspect of things, the tragedy, we've been able to make something come out of it.
Yeah.
Thank
God for God.
Thank God.
We are living testimonies of that scripture that says, when the Lord turned around the captivity of Zion,
we were like those dreams. Yes.
I look back, I'm like, look at how far you brought me. That song, they do not know. Oh, sorry, I don't know.
Bimpe sings very well, by the way. Go for it, girl.
Sang it,
girl. Sang it.
I just remember that says, how far you brought me, they will not understand. Or something. I don't know the song well. That's why I'm hesitating. Like, people will not understand. Like, when I talk, they don't understand the passion behind me saying to love God wholeheartedly. It's not to say you're not going to make a mistake, but love God. Serve God, honor people, be kind to people. When I say these things, this is just why people don't understand. We have not even delved deep into the story. The story is I am that life. I am that life that was changed by just knowing God. By Jesus, just knowing having a personal relationship. So sometimes I do. I mean, not even I do wrong. And it's just,
we're human, but then we're human. Thank God for His grace.
Yes.
So that's it, guys. Let's know if this resonates with you. Maybe perhaps you're in a situation or somebody who's like that. I think the best thing is just to keep encouraging them and keep making them see just the virtues they have above and beyond what their external shell or surrounding might look like. And as always, hold on to Jesus. That's our hope. That's actually if we're to give one word, a summative word that have kept us so far. It's just been Jesus all along the way.
Yeah, it's been the anchor of our lives.
Exactamente. I don't even back up soil, like the Koreans would say. I have nobody but God.
Yeah, what she said.
God, But this was it. I don't know if you had any final thoughts before I close this off.
I think we've said it all. Just hang in there. If you're in that situation, hang in there. And don't be proud. Don't be too proud to ask for help. Don't be, because we all need help. So don't, because I know some this is what I use. I'm using it loosely. Some poor people who are proud. Yeah, and that's the worst.
It's an irony.
Is
an irony.
Yeah.
You're working irony.
Yeah, and I'm not. It's not to say you don't have self-respect. Of course not.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, people at the time, if they came to the house, respect yourself, honor yourself, but
carry yourself well.
Don't be too proud. Because I know some. But I'm telling you,
it might be a defense mechanism if you think about it. It might be a defense
mechanism. But don't lose out on opportunities because of pride.
Yeah, that's true.
Humble yourself, because even God will not. It doesn't like proud people, so we're gonna go that route. But just hang in there, honor people, love God, and be humble. Whatever your status is in life, rich or poor,
be humble. Yes, walk humbly, seek justice, walk humbly before your God. Yeah. Oh, before we go, there's someone that's going to listen to this and they probably will crack the code. I had this friend, she was always asking to come visit me and I couldn't. I'll always come up with like a million excuses.
Yes!
You're listening to this, you know yourself. This is why I couldn't bring her home. There was one time she called me and I pretended like the network was bad. Like, shh, and I just hung up. When we used to have Starcom's phone. This is why I couldn't bring you over. Girl, it wasn't you, it was me.
It wasn't you, girl. It was a situation.
It was the situation I was in.
I didn't talk about it. One day, my friend just randomly decided to show up to my house. I was not home. I went to go and braid my hair. Fumi Olulade, my beautiful friend. I mean, she didn't care. She waited in the. I said, Fumi, you waited in the floor. She said yes, and I saw your mom. I waited with her. My dear friend. Yes, I met her from Solid Camp.
Okay.
Is she here? You were 18? No, she's in Nigeria. We were 18 at the time. So again,
that's a keeper.
That's a keeper. She is.
That's a keeper right there. That's a keeper right there.
Doesn't matter how many years we don't talk. The minute we get on the phone, it's like we spoke just the other day. That's how it is. Oh. Yeah.
And don't let anybody. Yeah, shout out. And don't let anybody shame you. Okay, you might have friends who might know about your secret and they make it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. If I use those as examples, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Okay, nothing. Don't let anybody shame you about it.
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah, it's just what it is.
Hopefully, this helps you, Tolani, to just let go of that.
I think it does. I mean, it's like I actually feel a bit lighter. Because it's been like, girl, like, boy talk, just
I know, my Lord. That would be the TMI. Look, let me tell you. Okay, it's because we don't want to talk about some TMIs.
Yeah, we don't want to glorify poverty.
My people, there were situations that. I mean, I have my own personal toilet,
right? And it's clean. It's clean.
Yeah, it flushes
I can leave my food where it is and not worry that someone's going to put something in it.
I know, my dear. I
can leave my bag in my living room and nobody would take it out of my living room.
It's just...
and there's no smell around that is questionable.
Whatever smell is my smell.
It's my smell. I can isolate it. I can isolate it.
I can say, okay, maybe it's because I put this rubbish, in this space. That is, do you understand?
I can do the forensic analysis quickly. And I have control over anything in that situation. You guys have no idea.
You have no idea. You want to
God has done for us.
You have to gauge it.
Hold it in. Yes. Is it worth it? Or there's somebody there? Somebody there in the restroom.
Is it when the one that you're taking a shower and somebody will come and someone your people come will not be there looking at you, so you have to struggle with that too.
Or you use your wrapper
to cover the window.
But then the door has like molds and sparrows.
We thank the Lord.
There's no water. You want this? Someone
fetch water. Oh my wow!
I'm bored way down the street. One day, a classmate of mine almost caught me carrying water on my head. I wanted to die.
Jerry Khan.
I enjoy doing those chores. It wasn't until my mom made them. I actually enjoyed doing them because
I used to go to my friend's house. I loved, making sure that we had.
We'll go to like Harry car. We'll carry jerry can to go and carry water from the
But you see, it built character.
It did. It built character.
It built character. It built resilience. It built that go-getter mentality that you can make things happen. We know how to source for water. When you will know.
You find it. We're resourceful.
You will find it. Very resourceful. It makes you resourceful.
Yeah. Those are the merits from them. I'm not saying everybody should go and suffer to get where we are.
No, but
all those skills they are gaining right now is going to serve you in the future.
And then we know of someone, I think, Tali, you know this person too. And this is not to shame them or anything. It's just that the kind of resilience that we have, they don't have it. And it's telling on their adult life.
Oh, yeah. They very sheltered life.
They had some setbacks and they just could not handle it.
They couldn't bounce back. There was no resilience. They couldn't bounce back.
And it's years and years of trying to, okay, so what can you do?
It's been like more than 10 years now.
More than 10 years.
And sometimes when we talk to this person, it's like,
they are still stuck.
I don't know how to help you.
Yeah.
I don't know how to help you. I don't know how to help you. Like, this will be easy for me to conquer. Yeah. But again, I don't know the experience, right? They don't have those grits. They don't have. I should stop saying that because I'm minimalizing the experience. But all that to say that our resilience is paying off in that particular area. At least,
and it's not again like you said. It's not to shame that person. It's just I see that the troubles that we went through just helped. It did.
Yeah, and I think the humbling thing here is that we shouldn't get too rash about people like that because we might tend to be like, hurry up now. This is shouldn't be a big deal. Yeah. That's just what I'm learning to extend grace. Like not everybody has these experiences.
Absolutely.
It's not when I talk about those kind of issues, I want to be very respectful because again, there's actually more
to the story than meet the eye. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is why Bimpe remains one of my very good friends because she's seen me through almost all my life cycle. Like there's no need to like pretend to be anything that I'm not. And I mean, she knows me very well.
It's a privilege. I do not take it for granted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I can be fighting with my spouse and being quiz that I don't mind because I don't have to like hide. Like she's like, calm down. And it was from that moment. The moment she found my house, I'm like, this girl is special. Because that's something I would have done. I gave her half of the information, but she found my house before Google Maps was a thing, mind you. She probably entered 2 buses, got on 2 buses to get to
but that's the thing with me. It doesn't matter where you live, I will find, I love doing that because for me, it's something about just, I don't know. I don't know if I do enough of it these days. But I mean, there's no time, but it's not like, me that kept a journal with people's birthdays every month. I was so judicious about it, but these days, life.
Do you think there's a part of you, because there's something you said the other day, maybe we can talk about this next time, how you avoid going on social media because you don't want to see some things. You feel like there's a part of you you've tried to hide just because of, the phase you are in life right now?
Of course. I mean, so,
it's a totally different conversation.
This changes the trajectory of our conversation.
It does. Do you want to have it now or save it for later? Okay.
So because of the vision that I have for my life, because of the plans that I, the things I want to achieve.
What about it? Yeah.
The things I hoped I'd achieved by now. So sometimes, going like on Facebook is very distracting. First of all, it's very distracting. I haven't been on Facebook in years. I still have the account. I purposely don't go there.
And you keep changing your name. Do you know how long it took me to find you?
I purposely did that. I did that.
I know. I know.
Don't do it.
I know.
Yeah. No, but I'm trying to run business and say, come and buy my sponge. They say I have to find it anyway, but so it's in Kechishode. So if you don't know those students, you will not find me. I made it very super difficult, So Yeah. So it's how do I say it? So for example, I'm still single. So there's that. And so a lot of my, colleagues, my contemporaries, they have kids who are like 10 years old or 11 years old by now. I'm 39. And in case you were wondering, not you, Talani, but the listeners. Yeah.
Oh, no. She was born 1983.
Yes, 83, September 1st.
September 1.
Yes. And so I recently turned 39. And leading to this year's birthday, it was very troubling. And it was so stressful. Just before my birthday, right? I just was like, oh my God, this is the final year in my 30s. And I'm still not married. I still don't have kids. I love children. And I want to, I want marriage. So leading to my 39th birthday this year, I was stressed out. I was so stressed out. And of course, there were things that happened months leading to September that also, again, I think I mentioned that in some episodes that, you invited me on, how that opportunity I thought I had and I lost it. And it just threw me off for like 2 months. Because again, it was all building up to, oh my God, I'm going to be 39 this year. And I just want to be able to say, oh, I've done this, I've done that, and I have this and I have the third. And I couldn't. It seemed like I focused so much on the quote unquote 1 or 2 things that I didn't have, and I forgot the rest of the things that I had going for me that were great or are great. And so I think it was like maybe 3 weeks to my birthday that I decided to have a change of heart and decide to, be grateful because I'm alive, I'm well. I have my mind. Things I may not be where I want to be or where I think I should be, but I'm not where I used to be. Yeah. And so that's why for me, when I go on Facebook, it's just a reminder. So kind of like a reminder of, the things I think I don't have, like a family, a husband, children, is mostly that. And then again, my academic struggles, not because I'm not smart, not because I'm not academically challenged. It's not that. It was just life happened. I couldn't get into school on time. And that was a point of shame for a long time. Mind you, again, I said I was school head in primary school. I was school head in secondary school. And then I couldn't get into college. Like how? I passed my exams. I just couldn't get into college. And we didn't have funds to go to a private school. So... And then for years, that held me back for years. And first I wanted to be a doctor, and that didn't come because again, actually, I quickly readjusted my dreams. I was like, oh my God, anything would do at this point. I just want to go to school, So for a while, and I remember something that someone said to me. This was after I'd relocated to the US. And so we kind of reconnected. I don't want to mention her name because what I'm about to say is not a nice thing that she said. So she said that that's really I don't know what she meant. It was almost like one ridicule me. That's how I felt anyway. That even with that we're not as smart as you, we went to school. So she said that. I'm not sure in what light she was saying that. I said I'd be because first of all, I'm like, I almost said what I wanted to say, but I'm not going to mention that, like you just admitted that you're not as smart, So even though you're trying to throw one at me, but you just shaded yourself.
Guess what? You were trying to shoot poop at me, but your hands will also stay
it's falling on you, girl, because you hit your fan, and so
literally.
So there was that. And even till now, I think I still carry that burden because I feel that the years that I lost impacted my progress in a way, or at least that's what I felt. But one thing that I've always known about God is that He redeems time, and in a lot of ways that God has redeemed time for me. He has. The years that they can't count, the things that I couldn't have achieved I couldn't achieve back then, that probably would have taken me maybe 5 years to achieve. And it's taking shorter time. And I'm grateful to God, but that there's still that part that still, feels like, oh, maybe I would have been a doctor if I'd gone, because if I followed the path, I would definitely have gone to medical school. I would definitely have graduated because I know I'm book smart. So,
but do you think that was God's will for your life, though?
Who knows, right? These are things that I also would just.
It's good to have those. You had those dreams, right?
Yeah.
And
so, because even now, a part of me still wants to be a doctor, but I just look and say, I don't know. Like, first of all, who has time to go and be waste accumulating student loan of 100 billion?
Yeah.
There's that. Yeah. But to be honest, if I had, so I've asked myself this question: if I had resources, like all of my needs were taken care of, I had someone is I have money to pay someone to carry my baby. I don't have to be pregnant. I don't have to worry about cleaning the house or anything like that. Or worry about my bills. And someone was just going to pay for me to go to medical school. I'll go actually. So yeah, I would. But that's not the tale right now. So I'm managing my expectations. But yeah, so sometimes I don't like to put too much on Facebook. And I guess I'm also a private person to an extent. I'm learning to...
Is that naturally you're just as a way to almost like you're hiding from the world, or that's just you naturally?
So naturally, even with my regular interactions with people, I don't... So when I open up, Like I'm not I meant like social media bit, because those are two different. That's what I'm saying. So it's it's just me. I just really don't like too much attention. First of all, even though it's weird. It's weird because I sing, I hold the mic, and I really don't
like a lark, like an angel.
Thank you.
The cute angel, not that one that they be showing on Instagram, the one that looks like demon.
Thank you, Tolani. Yeah, so I think there's a part of me that is definitely private, but there's also a part of me that is also constrained by the things I had hoped that I had achieved, I've gotten. And so, because when people look at you, they just want to see, oh, she has this, she has the third. But even if to be honest, if I was married and I had kids, I won't put my kids' picture on Instagram or anywhere else.
No shit to anybody who does that, right?
No shit to anyone who does it, but it's just me.
You do your boo-boo. Yeah. But that's actually my fear about you, that, because I know I went through a phase like that, especially when I was trying to, have kids naturally and all that. There was a way you tend to want to hide yourself from the world. Mm-hmm. And as long as, there's always that line between just closing off completely and also, being cautious about things. As long as in your heart of hearts, you're not still letting those things, loom over your head. Remember how you encouraged me some minutes ago to live in the moment and not be shameful about those kind of experiences. I'd like to recycle that feedback, advice to you as well. Like, live freely, live uninhibitedly, because you have done quite a lot. That you're still here and holding yourself, because you have so many great things that you do, Bimpe. And I feel like sometimes, maybe because of just your carefulness, people don't get to see that, right? It's a privilege to see you, things you do very well, because you're very good with your hands. Bimpe can just anything. She can do things with her hands. Like, she's way, 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 way amazing than I can ever. And she sings beautifully well. So I feel like sometimes maybe we might have that tendency to hold ourselves back, just because of how we think we should be somewhere. We're saying that this is not the path God wants for us. Of course, by all means, keep improving on yourself. I'm not saying you should say you've arrived, but I know that there's no good thing God will withhold from those that He loves, right? So all I'm not just trying to say is that, maybe this is like an encouragement for you to live more freely and not let anything hold you back anymore.
And that's what I'm doing. Slowly but surely, I'm starting to do that, because I realize
she's on the podcast, by the way, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm learning to live in the moment. I'm learning to do things that I'd denied myself for a while, or for a long time. Nothing that that what's the English word I'm looking for? Nothing that that goes against my Christian faith, obviously.
Yeah.
But just like, for example, I got a dog. I take hikes. Not in the city.
But hold on. Because you live with white people. You live with white people. That's not unexpected.
I've lived there for some time and I didn't explore.
But I'm telling you that it was just a matter of time, okay?
The thing about going and watching a hockey game, you and who?
But I said, okay, apple pie and be making dry turkey.
Let me tell you.
And spice your food with black pepper.
We had apple pie, pumpkin pie. Was it the other day? I was like, you are who? Thank you, but I'll pass. Olabimpe, do you want pie? No, thank you. Why? It's so tasty. I know. No. Right? I just said no. I'm watching my diet. No, thank you. Apple pie, bawo. Anyway, it's just for me. Consistency of food matters. The aesthetics of it matters. So I can eat an apple, but why do you have to put in an oven? I don't know. Now you've added flour to it, and thank you. It's just too much. And I'm trying to do things. I'm trying to be, take more risks. So I feel like I'm opening up gradually. That's why I agreed to the stuff you told me about.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I'm trying to tell myself, no, just leave your footprints in the sand of time, Olabimpe. You can't hide and do that. You can't hide and be a tool of change in the hands of Christ. You can't hide. Obviously I'm not going to put all of my business out there, but my story, I have a story to tell, and it may just be the thing that someone needs to hear, so I've told myself, I'm giving myself permission to open up a little more and not be too closed off, and to know that I may not be married and I don't have kids yet. I may not be married yet. Send me your idea, because we are husband hunting. Know.
Yes. Send the application through me, okay?
I know. If you're tall, and you're above 5'10".
Kissable lips. So she's into the lips, ladies and guys. She likes the lips.
If you know God, you have a fear of the Lord.
Guys only.
You're naturally born male. You're not looking for.
She's strictly dickly.
We don't do. No shame to anyone.
No shame to anybody that was.
No shame to anyone who does that. I want a naturally born male. Someone,
we have to
be specific. Someone who knows and fears God, has a personal relationship with Christ. Before, I used to be restricted to the whole, the African guy. No, you white, you're purple. Yeah,
we don't care at this stage.
Because if I date a Ghanaian and I've dated a Ghanaian who doesn't speak my language, he speaks English all the time, which was my thing. I just didn't want to speak English all the time. I wanted, be able to speak Yoruba and just, switch in and out, speak Pidgin.
Yeah,
their Pidgin is like.
We can teach them. That's no problem.
The third grade of Pidgin.
We can teach them. But because you're happy.
I know. My mom is Igbo. My dad is Yoruba, but my mom speaks Yoruba wella.
I mean, your mom is Yoruba. Let's not forget about it.
Exactly.
She's Yoruba.
Mind you, I've even dated an Akwa Ibom person who didn't speak Yoruba. He didn't speak Yoruba, so I spoke English with him all the time. So that's why I decided to open up. Like, no, I can date a Chinese person.
He never spoke Yoruba.
He doesn't. It's just.
And he lived in Lagos for that long.
He goes Yoruba and he doesn't understand too well. Yeah. I look, people have shame. Okay, talking about this person, we're not going to mention his name. Talking about this Akwa Ibom person, when I think this was in 2014 or so when I got introduced to him, because I lost my dad 2015. That's what I always used to gauge. So we dated like the year before, because we broke up just right after my father's passing because of what he did and just other things that led up to that point. And at the time I was working as a caregiver because I was still in college, and so I was going to school late. And by late I mean reference to age, and I is a petroleum engineer, and so was gonna, you know how somebody will cover you and, give you dignity. No. He went and told these people, and, they said, like, you can never date someone that is a kid, so it's all of these things. I've heard some things said over the years. So it's not just like, I just carry this shame.
It's from
the people are careless with their words. They're so quick to dismiss anyone who, quote unquote, doesn't fit their criteria, or they don't see that you're making you're going to get past this point, because obviously they're short-sighted, so yeah. Bye to Rada Rada.
I know what I would even think about is that, I mean, I won't say, I've probably said something careless to somebody and they've carried that. But imagine if we live their life in such that your careless word might add to that, might be that tipping point that makes that person just shut up, shut out of the world. And that you might think, it's just you saying it. But imagine them hearing from different people at different times, and the commonality is that person. How much more careful do you think would be?
Yeah. Which reminds me that this is Korean show. Which word is the title? Inheritors. No, Inheritors.
Oh, that one.
Old one. Girl. As in, there's some things I just will watch over and over again. That's one of it. I'll watch over again. Okay. And so I watched it. I finished the episode today. The final episode. Girl, let me tell you, what you just said now, it's so true. Because like the girl, what's her name? Yu-chan. So, you know what the dad of that boy said? He said that he gave her the opportunity to go to that exclusive school because he wants her to hear from 100 people why she cannot be with his son.
Wow, child.
So it's when you hear it over and over and over again, and some people try to, again, like I said, they were enemy of progress growing up, even in that Rema Chapel. But I had more, I did more of leaning towards the people who I heard positive feedback from, than listen to the naysayers. People, and the thing is this, I think for some people they couldn't reconcile the fact that she doesn't have much. Why does she? Why is this quote unquote Ogberaga?
What does she? Not that say you're proud. Like why? What does she have to be carrying herself around?
So confident. That's the word. Confident. Like they couldn't understand. Like what's the source of your confidence? You have nothing. We have more than you, and yet
we have everything.
Probably make us feel less than yourself. And it was for me, I didn't see it, but people saw it, and some people responded well to it, some people did not. They saw it as an affront, that how dare you be confident, so it was a lot to contend with. I didn't even realize what I was contending with until I was out of that situation. It was a toxic situation, but I came out, as, like they say, rough diamond, because she answer,
Yeah. Though God has helped us, Ebenezer.
Yes, so. Thank God for how far He's brought us. And so that's why we can say it. Yeah.
Yes. Back again to finish your thought. I was gonna wrap us up.
Yeah, so just trying to link it back to what we're saying.
I was saying that we came back again to the very point. But I like that segue with you, because I think your foundation and how you grew up shapes that aspect of you, and it's nice to see you seize that narrative. So really, this was the episode, guys, and we hope you've gained a lot from it. If there are additional topics you would like for us to explore, let us know. And I use us because Bimpe will be a regular on the podcast. You're not going to smell it. Having friends on my podcast and working together is almost like a safety blanket, because you get double the value of conversations and all that. So this is not the last time you'll be hearing from her. She'll be more prominent on the podcast, and we'll do more announcements once everything is finalized. But this was it, guys. Thank you so much, Bimpe, for joining us today, and really, really always nice to chat with you, girl. And for our UK fans, shout out to the Cocolas. I know we said a lot of girl today.
Yes, girl. We have to be Pacific.
Be Pacific, yeah. But in any event, thank you.
It's always an honor to be here. Always. Thanks for the privilege.
Yes, girl. Yes.
You could have asked anybody else, you know.
So
please. It's not because I'm the greatest orator.
You know where the bodies are buried. That's why you have to keep it close. Literally. Yeah. So sounding like an evil girl. All right, bye everybody.
Yeah, take it easy.